Birmingham is in the house. I got some Tennessee folks in the house. Some folks told me they came all the way from Mississippi in the house. We just in the house. Wow. You know, it's really good to be back here. This is not my first time in Birmingham, and certainly not my first time in this park. And as a gentleman by the name of Mr. Russell was reminding me, is that we are standing on holy ground. And it's easy in 2019 to take for granted where we are, and easy to take for granted that the 16th Street Baptist Church is right across the street. It's easy for us to take that for granted because we stand not only on the shoulders of folks, but we stand on their blood, we stand on their sweat, and we stand on their tears. This is holy ground. Mr. Russell reminded me that Bull Connor, sick dogs on black people fighting for justice right here on this land, and water hoses on black folks fighting for justice on this land. Lest we forget that the justice journey and civil rights was part of the fabric of what makes up Birmingham. We are on holy ground. And not only that, but today is Malcolm X's birthday. Holy ground. You know, this morning, Senator and I, we were in Atlanta, and we had a chance to visit a couple of churches, but one church in particular, the First Congregational Church, where Pastor Andrew said these words. And sisters and brothers, it is Sunday, right? Yes. Do you mind if a sister just takes a little, I'm a preacher's kid. Amen. And something that Pastor Andrew said that really to me encapsulates the senator's campaign. He talked about mutual hope and common good. And that is what the candidacy of Senator Bernie Sanders is all about. It is about mutual hope and common good. In Birmingham, if don't nobody else understand what it means to have leaders that will stand up in the face of bigotry and say to bigotry that we will not continue to allow you to discriminate and treat folks like second-class citizens, Birmingham, you understand. This campaign is about mutual hope and common good. And Senator Bernie Sanders doesn't just talk the talk, but he walks the walk. Yeah. See, we got receipts, hashtag receipts. Yeah. And you can roll the tape on Senator Sanders 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years or 40 years ago, and you will know that he has been preaching the gospel of justice the entire time. He's not new to this. Hashtag history matters. Yeah. And Birmingham, you understand that history matters. Yeah. Because we are standing on holy ground.
Amen.
So when Senator Sanders says that he is fighting for Medicare for all so that folk can have health care, not access to health care, but to have health care. In the wealthiest country on the face of the earth, that is a justice journey. And when he says that young folks, and some seasoned folks too, don't leave out the seasoned folks, should have access to college and not be saddled with debt, that is a justice journey. And when he stands on the picket line with Verizon workers and Marriott workers and March on Mississippi to help Nissan workers unionize, that's a justice journey. We got the receipts. So whether we want to go back to when he was 19 years old or to where he is today, we have the receipts. Birmingham, this race that Senator Sanders is in is about mutual hope and common respect and decency and justice for all. We need somebody that's not going to shrink.
No.
We need somebody who can't be bought.
That's right.
Come on, somebody. Come on now. We need somebody who ain't going to sell out.
That's right.
We need somebody who understands the mosaic of humanity. And that is Senator Bernie Sanders. So can y'all do something for our sister? With these hands, raise one hand for yourself and another hand for somebody else, because we're going to get the senator on up here. Sister can go. I'm just feeling this thing, and I need you to feel it too. Because people vote from their heart first and then to their head. And if you really care about this justice journey, whether it's about the environment like the young sister was talking about, or whether it's about correcting a justice system that is patently unjust, especially the black and brown and poor people. See, you don't need no half measure, folks. Not only is the senator on the right side of justice, he can win this race. He is uniquely positioned to beat President Donald Trump. Oh yeah. We got the receipts. So be here on this holy ground today. I want you to wrap your mind around the sacrifices that people made so that the rainbow mosaic of humanity can stand in this park on this day to have this conversation. So, do this for us, sister. One hand for yourself and one hand for somebody else. With these hands.
With these hands.
We will have Medicare for all.
We will have Medicare for all.
Uh-oh. With these hands.
With these hands.
We will have college for all.
We will have college for all.
With these hands.
With these hands.
We will make sure that women finally get their whole damn dollar.
We will make sure that women finally get the whole damn dollar.
With these hands.
With these hands.
We will create.
We will create.
For ourselves.
For ourselves.
And future generations.
And future
The
generations.
opportunity.
The opportunity.
To live a good life.
To live a good life. Woo!
Hello.
Woo!
And with these hands.
With these hands.
We will elect.
We will elect.
Senator.
Senator.
Bernie.
Bernie.
Sanders. The next president of the United States of America. With these hands, baby. With these hands. I need a t-shirt.
Hello, Birmingham. There are a lot of people here. Am I really in Alabama? All right. Now let me thank all of you for being here this afternoon, and let me thank G. Imagis for the music. Let me thank Mary Arvin for singing America the Beautiful. Let me thank Jasmine Elise Story for her remarks. Let me thank Shantae Wolf-Sisson for her remarks. Let me thank Charles Bengleric for his remarks. And let me thank Nina Turner. Thank you. I am really delighted to be here in Alabama because I know that in your state people are and will come together, black and white and gay and straight, to stand up to all of the injustices that we see. And I want to welcome you to a campaign which is not only going to win the Democratic nomination, which is not only going to defeat Donald Trump, but which, in fact, in a very profound way, is going to transform the United States of America. Our goal is to finally create an economy and a government which works for all of the people, not just the 1%. And so today, I welcome you to a campaign which says with confidence, with optimism and love, that the underlying principles of our government will not be based on greed, hatred, or lies. The underlying principles of our government will not be based on racism, sexism, xenophobia, homophobia, and religious bigotry. The principles of our government will be based on justice. Economic justice, social justice, racial justice, and environmental justice. And when we talk about the need for justice in America, let me say a few words about some very recent and disturbing developments that are taking place here in Alabama and in many states throughout this country. Right now, all across the United States, there is a well-funded attack coordinated by right-wing extremists to deny women the right to control their own bodies and their own futures. Just this week, Alabama passed the most restrictive law in the country, outlawing all abortion, even if a woman was raped, or if a 13-year-old girl was the victim of incest. Apparently, the Alabama legislature and governor actually believe that it is appropriate to force a woman to have the baby of her rapist. How disgraceful is that? That law even criminalizes abortion, punishing both women and doctors who could face years in prison if they are found guilty. But it is not just Alabama. Last week, the governor of Georgia signed a law that would outlaw abortion before many women even know that they are pregnant. The goals of these laws is nothing less than overturning Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court decision guaranteeing a woman the right to control her own body. Make no mistake about it. These laws are dangerous, they are regressive, and they are blatantly unconstitutional. And we will fight them in every way possible. Because if they are implemented, the consequences will be absolutely disastrous and threaten the very lives of women. We're talking about life and death issues here.
Right.
It is not an exaggeration to say that banning legal, medically assisted abortion and forcing women back into the arms of quacks will quite literally kill women. That is what happened before Roe v. Wade, and that's what will happen again unless we stop these draconian laws. So today we say to the governments of Alabama and Georgia and other states who are trying to take away a woman's constitutional right, we say we are not going backwards, we're going to go forwards. Now, I was on a TV show this morning, and the moderator asked me, he said, Senator Sanders, if you are elected president, will you have a litmus test regarding the people you appoint or nominate to the Supreme Court with regard to Roe v. Wade? And let me tell you what I told him. Yes, I will have a litmus test. I will not appoint anyone to the United States Supreme Court unless that man or woman is prepared to defend Roe v. Wade. Now, as we think about where we are as a nation, it's important to understand what the political strategy is of Donald Trump and his friends. And their strategy is not complicated. Their strategy is that they think they can win elections by dividing the American people up based on the color of our skin, based on our religion, based on where we were born, based on our gender or our sexual orientation. Well, I've got bad news for Donald Trump. That is not a path toward victory, that is a path toward defeat. And together, we are going to defeat Donald Trump. And I didn't even complete the sentence. We're going to defeat Donald Trump because our strategy has a lot more confidence in the wisdom and decency of the American people. Our strategy is not to divide our country up. It is to bring our people together. Black and white and Latino and Asian American and Native American, men and women. And when I speak about men, something comes to my mind. All right, guys, you listening up? All right. In this moment, when women are under such an atrocious attack, it is absolutely imperative that every man here stands up with the women of this country. So we are going to stand together and not let Donald Trump divide us up. And we are going to run a campaign and run a government based on justice. You know, some of you may have noticed that the motto of our campaign, our message is us, not me. You know what that means? What it means are two basic principles. Number one, we are all in this together. I want you and you and you to be concerned about my family, and I want my family to be concerned about you and you and you. And I want us to understand that when one of us gets hurt, one of us is in pain, we are all in pain.
We love you, Bernie.
And when we talk about justice, it means, and very few people talk about this. You know, our campaign is a little bit different because what we talk about ain't on television, ain't in the newspapers. And when we talk about justice, we talk about doing everything we can to prevent this country moving into an oligarchy. You all know what it means, what oligarchy is about?
Yeah.
What oligarchy is about is a handful of incredibly wealthy people who are trying to control the economic and political life of our country. And when we talk about justice, it means that we will not allow 3 families in America, 3 families, to own more wealth than the bottom half of our country.
Yeah.
It means that we will not allow the top 1% to own more wealth than the bottom 92%. And at a time in Vermont and in Alabama and in every state in this country, we got working people working 2 or 3 jobs in order to take care of their families. We will not allow 49% of all new income to go to the top 1%.
No.
We are fighting for an economy that works for all of us, that works for our children, that works for our grandparents, that works for working people. And the American people are sick and tired of the greed we are seeing at the top of the economic ladder. We are tired of CEOs of large corporations making 300 times what their workers make when 500,000 Americans will be sleeping out on the streets tonight. We are tired of the very rich becoming much richer when over half of the people in this country are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I grew up, unlike Donald Trump, I did not grow up in a billionaire family. I grew up in a working class family. I'm proud of that. I know where I came from. My family lived paycheck to paycheck. And what that means right now in Alabama and in Vermont and all over this country, you have people at this moment worrying that if their car breaks down, they can't get to work. And if they can't get to work, they get fired. And if they get fired, they can't take care of their children. You got people scared to death that somebody in the family is going to end up in the hospital, and if they end up in the hospital, the family goes bankrupt. So we are going to create an economy that works well for all of us, not just for people. And when we talk about injustice in this country, we're not only talking about the incredible national levels of disparity that we have, we are also talking about racial disparities.
Yes.
It is not acceptable to me or to you that black families own 1/10 of the wealth of white families. that the infant mortality rate within the African American community is 2.5 times what it is in the white community. That redlining in housing continues to exist. That African American business cannot get the loans they need at affordable rates. That black school districts are underfunded, and that a great deal of racism exists within our broken criminal justice system.
Yeah.
So we are going to bring justice to America, and that means we will end institutional racism from one end of this country. But it is not just economic justice or social justice that we are fighting for. We are also fighting for democracy and political justice. Together, we are going to create a political system which is based on one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. Yes, together we will overturn that disastrous Citizens United. And yes, we are going to end voter suppression in the United States of America. And let me repeat to you what I have said a million times. And that is, I believe in democracy. I have run for office in Vermont many, many times. Sometimes I've lost. Most of the times I've won. But it has never, ever occurred to me to figure out ways that I can prevent people from voting because they might vote against me. So today I say to those cowardly Republican governors all over this country, if you don't have the guts to participate in free, fair, and open elections, get the hell out of politics and get a new job. Let me mention something to you, and that is that 4 years ago, when I was here in Birmingham, I talked about a number of issues. And I talked about those issues all across the country. And when I raised those issues, the political establishment and the media establishment, they said, well, Bernie is a nice guy, but he's crazy. Nobody in America supports his ideas because they are too radical and they are too extreme. 4 years ago, we talked about raising the minimum wage to a living wage. Too radical, Bernie. Too radical. Maybe we can raise that minimum wage from $7.25 to $8.50, $9 an hour, but that's all that the American people will take. 4 years ago, I was asked at a television debate, national debate, and the moderator said, Senator Sanders, what do you consider to be the major national security threat to our country? And I know that the moderator expected that I would respond by saying, well, ISIS or Al-Qaeda or some other terrorist group. And those are serious threats. My answer at that point was climate change. And the moderator laughed. Well, they are not laughing today. 4 years ago, we talked about a broken criminal justice system. which creates a situation where we have more people in jail in America today than any other country on earth. And I said that we need, among many other things, to legalize marijuana. Four years ago, we talked about the power of super PACs on the political process. And 4 years ago, we talked about ending the power of superdelegates at the Democratic National Convention. Well, 4 years have come and gone. And those ideas that 4 years ago were considered to be radical and extreme are now supported overwhelmingly by the American people. And by Democratic candidates who are running for school board to the President of the United States. So we have come a long way in 4 years in changing the political discussion in America as to what is possible. The establishment wants us to think small. We are going to think big. The establishment tells us that ordinary Americans are powerless, can't make change. We think that real power in this country rests with ordinary people. The establishment tells us that the rich are going to get much richer and 40 million Americans are going to stay poor, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. We beg to differ.
That's right.
So we have changed the discourse. And now our job is to take those ideas that are supported by majorities of the American people and turn them into legislation. And that is why today we say to the private health insurance companies, whether you like it or not, the United States of America will join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people alike. We will no longer accept the absurdity, and I know this is a real problem here in Alabama. Nationally, we have 30